It's time to talk some spring football. We're also going to be doing an all-time Gophers defense draft, so you definitely want to tap in for the Gopher Broke podcast. What up? It's your boy Kane, Rob, and Tristyn Spann-Ford here to talk Golden Gophers with you once every week, and we are ready to get in on the action. It's almost spring football time, and when I say almost, it is spring football time. I went to that first Gophers open practice. There will be two other ones I attend here, but we're going to talk about spring football. We're going to talk about gems or players we think could be have a pop year this year, be the year where they really break out, and then we're going to do our all-time defensive Gopher draft. How you feeling, Tristyn? How's it going?
I'm feeling wonderful. I'm seeing all the clips of spring ball being back, all the cringe-worthy media posts of coaches doing stuff that the media team is making them do. They definitely don't want to do. I'm so excited. Football's all the way back. It's pretty much football season. So
It's basically, and if things go the way Deion Sanders wants them to go, where you have your spring game against another school, we'll basically have football in the spring. I'm here for it. Let's get it.
I love it. I love it. I actually like that. I like the spring games, but the spring games are more for fans anyways, I think, than they are for the players. I mean, you're getting live reps, but it's not the same. But it is fun to have the fans come out, and everyone's cheering for everyone. So
Well, and now all the coaches are canceling the spring games because they're afraid people are going to take transfers and things like that. So no spring games, but if we could have some joint practices like the NFL does, I mean, I see that as extremely beneficial because you get actual reps against a team. You can kind of see where some of your younger guys sit. Now, it might be a little early, but I think it's a great idea.
I definitely agree. You get a couple of like in conference teams doing joint practices, get that bad blood built up too. Ooh.
All right, but before we get into the Gophers talk, I got to ask you, do you have a gripe for today?
No, I'm gonna be honest. Pretty clean week. Pretty clean week. Didn't do bad March Madness. It wasn't the worst weekend ever. A little upset that there wasn't any more upsets.
Yeah,
But my brackets look good. Bets look good. Things were well.
Who'd you pick to win it all? I got to ask.
I got Houston, actually.
Ooh,
I got Houston
okay.
only because they are averaging, like, I think each player on the team is something like 33, 34. So they should be beating down on these kids like, like some grown men at the YMCA is what I pictured.
Okay.
They're just, the team is so old. It's so old. I think they actually truly are averaging it's like 25 years old or something like that.
Right. No, I picked Bama. Now, I didn't pick Bama because I think Bama's actually going to win. On the side, your boy, well, not on the side, my normal job, I hire keynote speakers across the nation for conferences for clients and things like that. And I'm trying to speak the biggest deal in our company's history into existence, and that would be with Nick Saban. So I was like, I'm going to do Alabama everything. We can have Alabama win the bracket. We can start a dynasty on the NCAA game. Whatever Bama needs, Bama gets from me as long as I get this booking in. So speaking of work, I have a gripe for you since you don't have one.
Give it to me.
My gripe is if you are in any sort of customer service, any sort of sales rep, any sort of client facing job, and you're a client, you gotta respond. You can't go ghost on folks. I mean, I'd say 8 times out of 10, there's good communication, good responses, yes, no's, and maybes, and what have you. I feel like even in the day-to-day, retail or delivery or things like that, people usually give you a, hey, this was wrong, or hey, this was great, or thank you. You know what I mean? But
Oh, yeah.
the people that are like, I want this, I need this, blah, 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 and then you give them it, and then they don't say a word. They don't say, yeah, actually, I want that, or yeah, let's move forward. And you follow up, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're good. Like, bro, it's been 3 months and all you got for me is, oh, we're good. Come on now. All I'm
But
saying is let's have a little bit of courtesy, a little bit of communication. Oh, look, no is my second favorite answer when it comes to this because at least I get an answer.
yep,
I'd rather have that than someone go. So if you're one of those clients out there listening to this podcast in your job, or anything you do, just give a little communication. That's all a brother's asking
gotta
for.
communicate. Send an email. It ain't that hard to send an email. Send a
It ain't.
text.
Just like, oh, yo, we went a different way. Cool. That's all I need. We're good. We're good. I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm not going to be like in your mentions, like, bro, what happened? Why'd you do this? But no, just it didn't
Let me
work
know.
out. And I'm like, all
Let
right,
me know.
bet.
That's cool.
We'll touch base next year. I feel you. Like it's that easy. People make it too difficult, but it drives me wild, man. It drives me wild how people go ghost. Like this is not Tinder. You
No,
don't need to ghost me. You
I
can
got a
just let
job to
me
do.
know. I'm all right. I'm not gonna be in my feelings if you tell me no. I am gonna be in my feelings if you go ghost on me,
If you
like
don't
Danny
communicate.
Phantom in this thing. But anyways, let's get back to the Gophers talk. I want to talk about the spring practice. I was in the building for this one. You mentioned you had been checking it out on the socials as well. What are you thinking? Which direction should we go here for the spring practice?
Well, I'm actually so I'm looking at all the clips and like we kind of talked about last week. I don't really see any clips, so I figured we'd flip the script. I got a few questions for you because you were there live in action. That's what mostly is what I was thinking because again, you just don't get much from the spring clips and they only
Right,
post the good stuff. So I
right,
saw a
right.
little bit of the media of the questions you asked PJ and stuff too. So as far as like individual players, who was the most impressive player that you saw going into it?
That's a great question. Most impressive. I would say I was surprised by the running back room. Like I'm already like, yo, DT, this
Yep.
is his room. He's that guy. The leadership he showed in between drills and coaching up his indie drill guys and things like that. Like expected. That's what I expected. AJ Turner, look nice. Early. We're already cooking. Look nice. Fame Ijiboy, bro, he put on some muscle. I'm saying in his true freshman year, didn't touch the field, but the boy, you can tell he was working in the offseason. So that was impressive. The new Washington transfer, he looks all right too. I think they got four deep in this running back room that you can feel comfortable. And I was talking to Daniel House and a couple others, Dan Owen, and a couple other media people at the practice, and I think Dan Owen made the joke like, it's an odd year, so we're gonna have a bunch of running back injuries because 2023 we had all the running back injuries, 2021 we had all the running back injuries, so it's an odd year, so we need like 4 or 5 deep. So that was kind of funny, but I was impressed by the running back room. Uh, and actually, like the DBs, the linebackers, they seem to be flying around. They were creating issues for the offense on most of it. And again, it's early stages, so it's hard to really
Oh yeah,
tell
yeah.
who's where and whatnot. I'm still a little bit nervous about the defensive line. I think I mentioned that. I'm excited for some of these younger guys, or some of the transfers in too. But it looks shallow, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. And like even the transfers in, like Rushawn Lawrence, Stephen Curtis, like they look like okay, we can play in the Big Ten, but they also kind of small. I was kind of caught off guard a little bit when they're standing next to like the Big Ten linemen that we got going,
Because what
standing
year
next
are
to
both those guys?
seniors, I believe, for
Oh,
both of them. Stephen Curtis might have 2 years left. I think Rushawn Lawrence only has 1 year left. But Rushawn Lawrence, like 6'1", and playing on the interior. But you look at him next to Devin Eastern, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's different. This is
I
different.
mean,
Like I'm not saying he can't win with finesse and speed and things like that, but it definitely threw me for a loop for a second because I was like, whoa. I was sitting here imagining like
yeah.
big boys, and all that, but they're a little bit smaller than what I had anticipated. The defensive line, you got Jalen Logan Redding, you got Devin Eastern, both of them big bodies, both of them experience. Anthony Smith brings a lot of experience, but once you get beyond that, there's a lot of question marks. Stephen Curtis, Rushawn Lawrence, both of them transferring in. We'll see how it carries over. Jackson Howard, I'm hopeful for him. I think he's going to be a big name. But right now, Lucas Fennessy was working in front of him at that rush end, and he could be the starter for the rush ends, filling that Danny Strigal role. So I don't know, man. Nate Becker was like the second defensive tackle, and loved to Nate Becker. I think he's still a walk-on player, and like he's scrapping through it all. But like it's a little scary for
Yeah.
me at times when you're like, oh yeah, Nate Becker's with the twos on the DTs, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
it
So
might be a little shallow. Hey, there's another transfer window. We never know what's gonna happen. Never know what's gonna
yes,
happen.
yes, you ain't wrong there. But I always feel like the second transfer window, I feel like you don't get much trench play. You don't get a lot of O linemen. You don't get a lot of D linemen. So I'm a little worried about the defensive line. There are a couple media members I talked to that were like, bro, if I was the opposing Big Ten team, I would run the ball like 80 times on us and make them prove it. Like, and I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, especially considering last year on third downs, we were already kind of those third downs would just kill us. Like it's so tough. That's so tough. Well, as far as like the running back, you talked about the running back depth. I'm gonna just ask you the $1 million question then. Wide receivers. Did anything pop off where you're like, okay, some guys pulling away, these guys look a little better than these guys? Because that's all I can. Right away, I was like, I wonder what this wide receiver room is going to look like.
Bro, you're right. It's the $1 million question. And
So many guys.
it didn't make it any easier that Lemecki Brockington was injured wearing a medical penny. So he
Oh,
wasn't really
tough.
taking place in contract drills or anything like that, which also shows you some of the younger guys, which is good. But then who is the younger guy that's playing in Lemecki's spot right now? It makes it so
Yeah,
much harder to read. But the first snaps I saw with the wide receivers with the ones, a lot of the looks in three receiver sets was Logan Loya in the slot. It looks like he's going to have that slot role for sure. So I
love
think that
that.
one might be one of the clear things we can start to pencil in. I wouldn't put it in pen, but Logan Loya in the slot, I think that's going to be one right there. Tons of compliments from different receivers that I'd talked to about him and how quickly he's been grabbing the playbook and really running with it. But then the two outside guys that were working with the ones with Lemecki out was Kenrick Lanier and Christian Driver. So those two were both in there. Kenrick Lanier had a really big broken play touchdown in one of the team drills. Christian Driver had a really big broken play touchdown. So again, broken plays. So I don't really know like how much they're creating separation or what happened on those plays, but Christian Driver, he looks more confident. He looks like, okay, I've been through it now. I have a little bit more in the system. I saw what Daniel Jackson did. I saw what Elijah Spencer did, and I know the opportunity's there. He looks like he's ready. He's hungry for it. It definitely helps that Pops is a all-time great. But I like Christian Driver a lot. Javon Tracy was working in with the ones and the twos, transfer in from Miami of Ohio. He, like I said, is my kind of call. We'll probably talk about him a little bit later in this show as well, but I think he's going to be a guy. I think he's going to be a dude that can fill that Daniel Jackson type role. I think he has 2 or 3 years of eligibility left, so even if it doesn't work out this year, he'll definitely be in the conversation next year, but I think he's going to find a role at some point this year. Again, this was only practice number 3. It was the first
Yeah.
practice in pads, but there were certain things that he was doing that I was like, okay, yeah, this can translate and he could be nice.
Okay, last one I got. I want your initial overreaction on Drake Lindsay. I want it to be season starts tomorrow. I want an overreaction on how he looked.
Uh, I was impressed. I was impressed because watching Drake Lindsay come in last spring as a brand new true and green freshman, and then watching him in the fall and seeing the development, seeing him be a little bit more immersed, but still true freshman, you could tell like he knows he has a big arm. He knows he can get away with things. He's going to take the deep shot. He's going to let his guys outrun it. He's going to gun that thing past people. And so I feel like we saw that with Ethan. We saw the issues
Mm-hmm.
that happened with that with Ethan. Then he didn't know where to pull back. He didn't know where to throw a touch and things like that. Drake Lindsay in this first spring practice that we were able to watch, you could already see the elements of touch. You could see the elements of I want to throw it deep, but the check down is the right thing here. You could see the elements of I've been working with Max Brosmer over the last year, and I know this is the read I should be looking for, or this is what I should take, or this is the smart move. And maybe one big play here where all of a sudden it's like, ooh, it was really close. That could have been it. But like making the smart plays, that has me ready to be like, bro, we're good. We're in good hands. We're
Love
in a
it.
good spot. And
10 and
so
2.
I'm really
10 and 2.
right, right. I'm excited about Drake Lindsay. And look, I tweeted about this and I mentioned it to you. I'm gonna put it right here on the pod too. But Drake Lindsay is the quarterback one. Enough with the nonsense about competition. Enough with the nonsense about we'll see, everybody's scrapping, we're rotating reps. No, you're not. No, you're not. Drake Lindsay is the quarterback one. They have been working to make sure he is the quarterback one. They have made a seamless transition plan from their great quarterback of last year, teaching him the ways, them living together in an apartment at times, him being attached to his hip. Every time Max had an offensive line dinner, guess what other quarterback was there? Drake Lindsay. It wasn't the other quarterbacks, it was Drake Lindsay. Drake Lindsay is the quarterback one. Stop playing games. And I'm just going to say, look, when I make that tweet and I'm like, stop the yapping. He's the quarterback one. There is no competition, blah, blah, blah. And then I get a follow back from Greg Harbaugh, offensive coordinator. QB1. QB1. That's all I got to say.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, last couple things I'll mention about spring practice too before we can kind of turn the page on this one. We mentioned the D line. We mentioned quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. One thing I do want to talk about is the offensive line
Yeah.
because it's interesting. I think there's going to be some battles throughout this spring, but right now the way it was looking, the Washington transfer, Typhi, he is still recovering from an injury that he suffered with Washington, so he wasn't even suited up. He was kind of just walking the sidelines, going through the rehab process and things like that. So I don't know when he's looking to come back. Probably not till fall is my guess. If he it was
Okay.
like just chilling, I could be wrong there. Maybe I'm assuming, but I don't know if we're going to see a lot of him this spring. So working at the left tackle was Nathan Roy, true freshman last year, redshirt freshman this year, four-star guy, best kid in Wisconsin that we pulled over to the Gophers. He looks a little smaller, but dude's athletic. Dude made the All-American game for a reason, so definitely upside there. We'll see what happens. Greg Johnson, no longer at center, got pushed over to the
Oh,
guard position again. So he was working a ton at the left guard, which is what I believe he played true freshman year for a lot of it. He's back there. Ashton Beers in at the center. He was taking like all of the ones reps with the center. There were some issues with snaps on this first practice. Again, first practice, so we'll see what
yeah.
happens. But those three almost took all of the ones reps when it came to left tackle, left guard, and center. The right side of things is where things got interesting. Dylan Ray was the right tackle. He took most of the reps at the ones, and he's the Kentucky transfer. So that's a guy that he's looking like he's making a clear uh, line for the job, but we'll see what happens. The right guard, there was a lot of rotation. You had Tony Nelson moving in there. You had Marcellus Marshall from UCF moving in
Yep.
there at the right guard. So overall, my biggest questions is if Typhi comes back, is it him and Nathan competing for the left tackle job? I think you're locked in at Greg at left guard. You're locked in at center with Ashton Beers. Who wins the right guard job? And then is Dylan Ray locked in at the right tackle? That's kind of what the offensive line is looking like from what we saw really early. And then other names to work in the twos. Brett Carroll was working in at the second center. And I believe, trying to remember, I think it was Jerome Williams working in at the second left guard behind Greg Johnson. So that's kind of what the offensive line is looking like. A lot of big boys, a lot of transfers coming in and whatnot. So we'll see how that all plays out. I think there is some good size and some good depth in there. It's just how they come together and build that chemistry.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and it's hard. It's so hard not to overreact to stuff like this in when it's so early
Mm-hmm.
because between now and the end of spring ball, everything could look different. Like
Mm-hmm.
you never know what's going to happen, especially when it comes to like the O line, because coaches are going to see things out of guys that they weren't expecting to see.
Yep.
So I'm super interested. That's one of the biggest position groups that, I mean, it has to be. It's such an important part of the team. So I'm interested to see what that's going to be. It's the wide receiver room and the O line room that I'm mostly intrigued by.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel like we'll talk more defense maybe in 2 weeks when I get to go to another one. But I definitely was locked in on the O line and the wide receivers because I was like, "What is happening here?" I
Yeah,
don't.
what are we doing?
So that's where I was like
Zillion
posting for
people.
most of the practice. I was like writing down, all right, for ones, blah 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 blah, twos, blah blah blah. Oh, ones on this one, blah. Like I was just like, okay, we're gonna lock in on these two positions and that's it. We're just gonna
Yeah.
move forward from there. But let's keep moving forward. Let's talk about the 2025 season. I want to talk about who you think or who you're excited about that could be a gem, maybe a player who gets some opportunities, has some big moments, maybe isn't always a starter, but has the the flashes, let's say, that could be a gem for the Gophers. And then I also want to talk about players that you think could pop off this season. It could be as many as you want or as few as you want. I kind of wrote 5 in each for myself, but don't need to go through all 5 either. But I want to know your thoughts. Let's start with some pop out players, some guys who could have a breakout season. Do you have anybody that jumps out for you?
First thought that comes to my head is Devin Eastern. We kind of talked about it. We've talked about him a few weeks ago, but I think this year, like, he chose to stay, hone his craft one more year, and he's going to the league. And I think that he's just going to dominate this year. So like, he's got to be the oldest guy on that D line, leader of the room, captain of that room. So I think he's going to have a monster year. He's the first person that popped into my head. Another guy, I think Christian Driver is going to be slated for a good year too. I'm super excited about him. I really want him to grow a mustache. He needs some facial hair. Is ASAP, but I think he's going to be really, really good. Our whole household is invested in Christian Driver. My wife follows his girlfriend on TikTok.
Uh-oh.
So that's the only player she knows right now.
It's a family affair.
It is. It's pretty much, that's it. She's always like, well, now that Brev's gone, I don't really know anyone, but I do know Christian Driver. And I'm like, okay, well, that's something. We'll dip our toes back in.
We're tapped in. I'm with that. I had both of those two on my list as well, so we're walking stride for stride there.
Love that.
Another one I have, I couldn't get away with not bringing it up on the podcast. Zaquan Bryan, that's my dog.
Oh, boy.
Look, he is the cornerback one on this team right now, bar none. Like, that was very apparent in warm-ups. He's up there within the captain's line, in any of the, like, team ones. Like, they have high hopes. They have big hopes for this kid, and he is going to pop off. He is hungry for it. I talked to him at the pro day, and he was just itching to get the pads back on, bro. He was like, man, I wanted this to start yesterday. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to get after it.
He's been ready since the end of last year. He's ready.
Saying. Yes, no, he's going to be ready for it. He's going to take advantage of that opportunity. I think no matter what happens in the transfer portal, maybe they bring in another cornerback, maybe they don't. The DBs looked all right for this third practice of the spring, but I think no matter what, he's going to be a starter. This team, this defensive staff really likes Zaquan Bryan. Rylan Kelly was working in there. The transfer, I think, is Bowden, last name, kind of skinny dude. We talked about it.
Yeah.
155 coming in or something like that. He was working in there a little bit. Giante McMillan worked in there a little bit. But Zaquan Bryan is going to be the cornerback one. Book it. So he's one of my pop-off players. I put Ashton Beers because I think he's going to be a really big player for them at the center. And then my other one that I put was Javon Tracy, who I mentioned earlier. He's just smooth, bro. He's not gonna kill you with speed. He's not gonna like be the dude that is out jumping over folks and things like that for the football. But he reminds me a lot of Daniel Jackson. He might not have as clean of the route running or anything like that at this stage, but he's only a redshirt sophomore coming over or something like that. So,
yeah.
He's got time, but I just see it. It's fluid. It's smooth. I think he had one drop in the day, but other than that, he was like making every catch and just making the right plays, making smooth grabs. So I'm really excited for him. But let's move it over to the gems. I'm curious to know who you think is like that diamond in the rough. Maybe could have some moments here and there, but then maybe 2026 is the year that we're like, damn, where did this dude come from?
See, that's what I did have Zaquan on my list for that, only because I just think like I think that's what everyone else is going to say. Like, other people who don't know about him are going to be like, okay,
this pod.
Exactly. Well, they know. The people who listen to this pod know. But that's what I'm saying. I think other teams are going to be like game planning for him. Like, where did this guy come from? So I had him on there. As far as gems go, the running back transfer from not Michigan, he left already, right? Which one? He left.
Talking about Marshall from AJ Turner?
Yes. Turner. Turner is the one who I was looking at. This was last week when I was just kind of going back over the stuff we had talked about. And I think he might be really good. And I know DT is going to take up a lot of those carries, but he might break one or two where we're kind of like, okay, like we're good. We're deep. Let's rotate these guys in.
You know what I love about that too? So DT is number 1 and AJ Turner is number 2, like the jersey number wise. So we got our 1-2 punch, literally.
I love that.
Like 1-2 carrying.
That's a shirt
rock.
waiting to happen. Gopher, what's the NIL? That's an NIL shirt waiting to happen.
Right. Some boxing gym needs to like sponsor NIL, the 1-2 punch. Let's
love
get
that.
it.
Yep.
I want my 10% cut. Anyways, for me, for gems, I was talking about him a lot last year. He got hurt for the whole season. Pierce Walsh, man. I think Pierce Walsh, he might not get on the field a ton this year because, Jameson Gears is going to get a lot of looks.
Yep.
Frank Bierman's been working in at fullback a little bit. They had some fullback reps out there
I
going. I didn't
love that.
mention that
I
earlier.
love that. We start running a
Um,
wing tee. I'm all
hey,
in. I'm
hey,
all in on
it
some
was
fullback
nasty.
play.
It was nasty. But Frank Bierman's also going to be in that like Nick Kellerup type role.
Okay.
Beyond those two, you have Drew Biber, the transfer from Purdue. I don't know how
Yep.
he fits into all of this, but Pierce Walsh is gonna be the dude that fills that Jameson Gears role when Jameson Gears is gone, bar none. Like this dude's smooth. He's got great hands. He's coming back from an injury, but I remember all of spring and all of fall. I was like, bro, he's gonna be on the field. And even though he might not be a starter this year, there's gonna be moments like even when Brev was the guy, Jameson Gears had moments where he got on the field.
Oh yeah.
That's what I think Pierce Walsh is going to be this year, and he's going to have one or two big ones that were like, ooh, Pierce Walsh, and then we're
I
going to
kind of
get to
like that.
2026, and we're like, oh yeah, I'm ready for Pierce Walsh. You know what I'm saying?
I,
That's what I
I
see that
love
going.
that. I hope college football goes back to like they have what's his name from Penn State in the draft this year, their tight end, Tyler
Warren,
Warren.
yeah.
Like a gadget guy like that who's just a football player. Like he's just like what position is he? A football player. Like he can do anything you need him to do on the field. Like I think every team is gonna start to have that guy. That would be a good role for him.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Other gems, I quickly listed Mason Carrier. He got a
Oh,
shout out from Derek LeCaptain. I asked him in the presser after because he had a huge fumble, like just popped old boy.
ooh,
Fumble came out. I mean, the ball is
love
programmed.
that.
PJ was not happy about
Yeah.
it on the offensive side. But Mason Carrier, good on you. I mean, dude looks big too. He looks like, yo, he's been working in that year. But Derek LeCaptain was like, look, nobody works harder than this dude. Nobody works harder than this dude. This dude is gonna be the next Gopher linebacker. And I was like, I'm here for it. I'm here.
Yep.
Detroit Lakes kid, way up
Love that.
north. Give it to me.
Love that.
So Mason Carrier, I think maybe he doesn't get a ton of time this year, but I think he's one of those dudes that maybe as injuries happen, hopefully they don't, or maybe as we get to like a bowl game and somebody either is like, "Yo, I'm out for the bowl" or something like that. I think that's where he gets out his opportunity, and we're like, "Oh, yo, he's gonna be him." I like that.
Yep.
I like that. So Mason Carrier, and the last one I will mention is your boy Malachi Coleman. I think
Yep.
it might be a little bit for him to get in the rotation. He looks a little thinner than I thought. Like, dude's super athletic, dude's super fast, super natural ability, but he is a little skinnier than I thought. And so, knowing Logan Loy is working in Christian Driver, Lemecki Brockington, things like that, I think maybe this is a year where Malachi really gets used to the system and what have you. And then next year is the year where he really shines. But maybe they run a couple packages like they did with Driver last year, where he gets a couple looks here and there and gets some touches and can show that explosiveness. But then next year is the year where he's really trying to take over.
Yeah, I like that. I just want to, that's what my thing was. I want to see how fast he is because dude looks so fast. So fast.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. So that you got any more gems or anything like that?
No, I mean, you touched on most of them. My list was not as long as yours again because you're there. You got all the names. You got all the names.
For
It's
sure.
tough for me.
I have a strategic advantage right now where I actually get to see them. But don't worry. Don't worry.
That's all right.
We
I'm a
gonna get
vibes
there.
guy anyway. I'm a
Yeah,
vibes guy
you're the
anyway.
vibes guy. Well, speaking of vibes, we're going to get to the vibes. We're going to draft our Gophers all-time defense. And so this will work like last week's show where one of us had the first pick, then the other person had the second and third pick, and then back to the other for the fourth and fifth, and so on and so forth. We're going to do that again. Defense is tough, bro. Me and
So
Tristyn were
hard.
looking, and like not saying that there aren't players to draft, but like if we broke it down to every interior defensive line or every nickel linebacker or things like that, like it was tough. You were starting to just pick names. So at this
Mhm.
point, we're going to make it a little more general, but still have some fun with this. So we're going to draft two cornerbacks, four defensive linemen in general, edges or interior, two safeties, three linebackers, and then you get one extra defensive line linebacker and one extra DB. It could be a safety, it could be a corner, or what have you. So that's kind of what we're going to run with on this one. And I'm going to get the first pick this time since you got it last time, and we'll
That's
kind
fair.
of go back and forth from there. So we're going to dive into
People
this thing.
will be mad. if you are like a diehard old head Gopher fan, you are going to be very mad at my draft because I'm just saying names. I'm going to forget people who should be on this list, and I'm going to put people on this list who probably shouldn't be on this list. So just that's caveat. I just want to get ahead of that.
I'm ready to win this draft. I'm ready to make all the generations look good, and I'm ready to put Tristyn in the dirt. No, I'm just playing. But we're gonna have some fun with this one. But the real question, I knew I was gonna say take the first pick since you had it last time,
Yep.
and mentally you would think, okay, you'd know exactly who I want for the first pick. Then I did not think that far. I literally was like, okay, I'll take the first pick, and now I'm looking at my list and I'm like, damn, who do I use the first pick on? So you know what? I'm gonna make up for both of us. I'm gonna do this for the vibes. I'm gonna do this to not get yelled at on any shows.
I
I'm
think
gonna
we should.
take Bronco Nagurski
Oh, we
because
should have left him
I
off.
think that we need to make sure we are not absolutely cursed out by the fan base in the future. And also, the dude's got a trophy named after him, super productive, was an All American, and a defensive tackle. I didn't know that. I thought he was a linebacker. Now, I wasn't watching football way back when. Not even sure if I think I might be dating it overall.
You-
I think that he played when they had television, but that's not guaranteed. That might
I
be
don't. The,
extremely incorrect on my
the
front.
people are asking, could he play in this era though?
You know, it's a great question. Could he? I would say he has that dog in him, and so he would work in any era. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like when people are like, "Could Bill Russell make it in this era?" And to that, I say, Bill Russell always found a way. The dude won 11 championships for a reason. He was the first black coach. He was the first black player that got some real credence to him. That's the same thing I'm going to give you with Bronco Nagurski.
I like
I
him.
think he is the dude that he'll find a way. Gritty. He played defensive tackle. He played fullback. He makes it happen. And so I think he would do it in this era too. He's going to be the first pick of this defensive draft. Who you got for the
I love
second pick?
that. That's a good pick, even though I thought it would be great if we left him off just to make people mad. Give me. Okay, you going with an old head? I'm thinking about going with an old head right away, but maybe I'm not. Give me
Decision. Decision.
safety, Tyrone Carter.
Ooh.
584
Yeah,
tackles,
bro,
which
you
was a safety record college football. I think it may have gotten broken since then, but at the time, which is pretty recent,
you
all time
made an
record.
absolute great pick right there. I'm not gonna lie
Yep.
to you. That probably was gonna be one of my first picks. Um, I looked it up and bro had led the team in tackles 3 straight years.
Yeah.
143, 158, 144, two-time All-American. Like what?
Dominant.
What?
Dominant. As a safety, making a million tackles a game. Just fly to the ball. Fly to the ball. I
Just
saw something that was like 180 solo tackles one year, something like that. 170, 180 solo tackles is crazy.
just nuts. But all right, you got back-to-back picks here. So who is your second pick on that
Oh,
front?
yeah. I thought we were coming back around. Coming back around. Should I just corner the safety market? No, actually, I got. No, I
There's
don't want
no
to do
way
that.
you can corner a safety
Yeah,
market because look,
this
dog, we're safe
is,
to you.
yeah,
We're
it's
safe to
deep.
you.
It's
Come on
deep.
now.
It's so deep. Give me Hall of Famer, defensive lineman, Bobby Bell.
Yep.
1960s, again, never seen a clip of him playing, but respect.
The stats don't lie in this case. The stats
Exactly.
do not lie.
Yep. Numbers do not lie.
No, that was a fantastic pick. And you know what? I get back to back here now. I'm gonna definitely tap into an old head once again because look, we're trying to do it for the fan base right
For
here.
the
You
people.
can't call us bias at this point.
No.
But I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna take Carl Eller. Carl Eller on the defensive line. Dude was a dog. Dude was a beast in the NFL and in college football. So I feel really comfortable with that one. And then
Six-time
we're
Pro
gonna,
Bowler.
yes, sir.
Dude's a
Yes,
stud.
sir. And then we're gonna go and we got to get a current guy in there, and we got to go with my boy. I would feel dirty if I didn't get him on my team, Antoine Winfield Jr. Let's
Yep.
make it happen. So definitely gonna take the All Pro safety at one point, one of the highest paid DBs. I believe he was the highest paid, but it might have been broken just this offseason.
He was the
So
highest paid for like a good year or two.
Antoine Winfield Jr., you are on the squad.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna go ahead and just take Ty Nubin. Right, wait, it's my pick, right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, coming back to me. Close out my safeties. Ty Nubin. Give him to me. Okay. Mm. Mm.
Now, just to clarify, even as you keep going, you can still take one more
Oh
safety if
yes,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah, yeah.
want to,
Yep,
because we
yep.
have the one open DB spot too.
Okay. Give me Devondre Campbell, linebacker, stud. These are really, it's recent. I got recent guys on here, but he was a beast.
Well, let's just say we love Gopher Devondre Campbell. We're not going to talk about the
Well,
one who just quit on the San Francisco 49ers. Look,
that's
we don't know what's happening in that locker room. You know,
exactly.
sometimes I would think about quitting on Kyle Shanahan too. But
He's got things going
when it
on.
comes to the
He's got things
Gophers,
going on.
he was locked in
And
100%.
actually, okay, as far as again, Gophers, but he's always back for like I've seen him at a zillion fulfilling homecomings. Like
He's a
he
real one.
just stays on the sideline. I'd be
Yep.
thinking that he wants to come back.
I've seen him post about the Gophers on his
Oh
Instagram
yeah.
stories and things like that too. Anytime they send him things, or he's always showing love for his alma
Oh
mater.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
definitely a real one on that front. Um, you just took two, right? Yep.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so it is my turn. And you know what? I'm going to take Rashid Hagman,
Oh.
interior defensive lineman for the
Yep.
Gophers, two-time All-American, was a killer. Plain and simple. So I feel good with that pick. I'm really rounding out this defensive line. Hopefully we can just be nasty. We can be the maroon mamba. I don't know what we want to call it. I'm just making stuff up over here. But we're going to go with Hagman, and then we're going to go and take our first cornerback because I think the cornerback position is the hardest, in my opinion, of the Gophers positions. So I'm going to take Willie Middlebrooks. Willie
Oh.
Middlebrooks was on a second team All Big Ten, first team All Big Ten, and he was a first round pick to the Denver Broncos. So I think that warrants some love here in being the first cornerback off the board.
Okay. Since I agree with your last statement. Give me Coney Durr. I mean, he was here for what felt like 6 years. He was here for a long time, and he was all time guy. I'll give it to me. I want him on the team. Give me the
Bro,
squad.
he bleeds maroon and gold too. That dude
Absolutely.
is absolutely die hard for the Block M.
I've seen he will go to war on Twitter for you too. He'll go to war.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You and him, that's a nightmare. You and him going in on somebody on Twitter is my nightmare.
Hey, all right, you still got one more pick.
All right, give me. Let me go Boye Mafe. D-line.
You cut me deep.
Boye Mafe.
That was definitely going to be one of my next two picks.
I love that pick. Love that.
All right, you know what? It might be a little current recency bias, but I'm going with it just because I got love for him and he earned it the hard way. We're going to lock in Blake Cashman as our linebacker. Blake Cashman, Minnesota homegrown. Let's make it happen. And then I'm going to take another safety. And some people might absolutely hate this. And I'm just going to tell you right here, right now. I'm going to look into the camera lens right here. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care. I am locking in that boy Coy as my safety. Because look, that freshman season
You
was
got to get.
legendary. The freshman season was
Oh
legendary.
no.
5 interceptions, All American, first team Big Ten. I'm predicting the future. And if he does even one more of those seasons, he's already a Gophers legend. If he
All
has
time.
2 more of those type of seasons, he's breaking nearly every big program record for the DBs. Coy Parrish is a steal here because he is a dog.
People are going to be more mad about that being on an all-time ever list than if we would have left Bronco Nagurski off.
And that's why I looked into the camera to preface, I don't care.
Oh no.
That
Okay.
Coy. Coy Wonder. Let's make it happen.
Respect. Was that your second pick or first?
That was my second one.
Carter Coughlin, linebacker, still in the league.
still in the league, scrapping it out. Special teams demon
Hey, in the league. That's all that
in the
matters.
league.
And then give me Coach Winston Delabadier. I
Do
don't know
that
how to pronounce
Tibbetier.
it.
I got you. I had to work on that so much,
Latibadier. You had so much
so
practice.
much
I always
practice,
just say Coach
bro.
Winston. Welcome to the
Coach
dojo.
Debo. Coach Debo.
Coach Debo.
Dude, I even can spell it perfect. It's locked in. I had to practice that one
You don't want to know
over
how it's
and
written on my
over
page.
and over.
I literally wrote
Bro,
Winston
spell it for the people. I
D
want to know how
E
you.
D E. I didn't write the rest. I just put D E. So I
He
knew who I
said
was talking
he
about.
said Winston D.
I put Winston and I was going to start to spell and I was like, I know who I'm talking about. I know who that is. Just needed it quickly so I could, a reference point. It was a reference.
Oh, that's great. I love that so much. All right, I'm gonna lock in my second corner, and I'm gonna go with Justin Wally. Justin Wally, 4-year starter here for the Golden Gophers. And you know what? Like, he has been a Big Ten honorable mention. I think he might have made the third team one year. I could be off there. I'm kind of pulling that off the dome, off the top. So could definitely be wrong there. But Justin Wally, I think he gets a little under credit just because what, 3 different defensive coordinators during his time here. Like, started as a true freshman, has had some huge game flipping interceptions. Like, even though it's recent, like, he is one of the best Gophers cornerbacks that we've seen happen, and so I'm definitely got to get him on my list.
Oh no, I agree with that 100%. In terms of, it's not, I think even like when I'm doing this, impact on the defensive side of the ball, impact is a lot more, like you get a lot more leeway as far as like statistics goes. So I agree with that.
I feel like I skipped one of your picks.
I
Did
got,
you take? Oh, you took Winston. I just didn't write it down.
yep.
There it is. I wrote Winston on my team, even though he's on yours. My bad.
Yeah, he's on mine.
We got that fixed. All right. So then my second pick, I'm gonna go with a linebacker. We're gonna go with Damian Wilson. Damian Wilson led the team in tackles, I believe, multiple years. On top of that, he was super productive in the NFL for a really long time too. Like, did it in college, did it in the pros, and like, I feel like he never really got his name out there in the lights. He's never been like, oh, that's Damian Wilson. He's an absolute killer. Like, you don't get those vibes, but he is like the sure-handed consistency guy that every team needs, that gets the job done, gets the tackles, makes the stops, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shoot, he just led us in 6 straight games in tackles. So
Love that.
I'm locking in with Damian Wilson.
Okay, okay. Give me. I mean, I'm so light in the cornerback room. Jalen Myrick
All right.
is a name. Is a name. I didn't look up no stats on him either. No, don't tell me he doesn't play for the team. Did Wikipedia let me down?
No, I think I had a different name
Ah,
that was very close written down. Let me just make sure. No, you're good. You're
he's on the
good.
team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop playing.
Played at Minnesota, drafted in the 7th round for
Yeah,
the
just drafted.
2017. You good.
Okay.
You gotta
Yeah.
believe in
Like
yourself,
I knew.
Tristyn.
Like I
Believe,
knew that.
believe in yourself.
I
You
knew
did the
that.
research. You don't do research, so
I'm
you
not a
know if you
research
did
guy.
it, that it's right.
I'm
You
not
know?
I'm not a research guy. I did the research. I knew that. Now my next name. Give me Jeff Wright. He's a safety. He's a safety. He had 12 picks and he only played for 3 years, so that's actually super impressive.
All right, that locks in all of your DBs.
And then I will take, oh my god, Willie Van. What is his name?
Bro,
Let me.
you're reminding me of like SpongeBob right now. Like,
Yeah, because
shouldn't
now,
you
well,
heard
now
him
I'm
when
scared.
Ben Jensen?
I'm
He was
scared.
#1.
Really, really fast. Okay, this is bad podcasting right now. I gotta double check my research. I did such short, quick research and wrote the person's name down. Yes, give me Willie Van de Steeg. He was a D end. He was
There it
good.
is.
He was good.
We're
He's actually from
locking that in.
Minnesota too, so shout out to him.
Hometown guy.
Yep.
Gotta love it. I'm gonna stick with the names that I know, and
Yeah.
people can yell at me in the comments that I
Yep.
missed some goats out on that board. But I'm gonna play it safe here, and I'm gonna say, you know what? We're gonna go with a legend, both in the NFL and in the Gophers. We're gonna go defensive lineman Bud Grant, also coach of the Minnesota Vikings. I feel like
That
that's going to be a great name to have on the list, even if it just
yeah.
gets me some pity votes. But Bud Grant did it. I believe he had an All-American as well. So
He
can't be
did.
mad at that one bit. And then I'm going to flip it over to linebacker. And I am going to just do this for the vibes. And because I saw him play and dude was a dog, I'm going to go with Mariano Sori-Marin. Coach Mariano Sori-Marin.
Love that.
And he is going to round out my linebacker room. So that leaves me with a defensive line or linebacker free space and a DB free space. You have a linebacker needed and a defensive line linebacker needed overall.
So these are
We
my
must have
last
got
two.
off on the count somewhere because technically I think you would have 2 picks here and then I should have finished it off with the last pick, but who cares? We got 2 picks each. Here we go.
Okay, Cody Lindenberg is going to round out my linebacker room. Cody Lindenberg, and I still need another DN or linebacker.
Defensive line or linebacker, either way.
I think I know who I want, but I have to double check because I'm pretty sure he is super old as well.
You're gonna make sure he didn't pass on campus. You're gonna make sure he didn't have only like 5 tackles in his career. And
have to double check.
well, while he's double checking, I'm going to give a shout to the Gophers listeners. If you have other thoughts that we can do during the off season that you want us to talk about, I know people have mentioned recruiting at times before. I know people have mentioned talking like these all-time lists, these all-time drafts. But if you have other thoughts, drop them in the comments below over on YouTube or give me a shout over on Twitter at Gophers Kane Rob, and we'll make it happen. Be sure to follow us on Twitter as well at the Gopher Broke Pod, and you can find Tristyn at Spann-Ford22, and you can find me at Gophers Kane Rob. So hopefully you'll give us all a follow. Hopefully you'll subscribe wherever you get the show. Hopefully you'll leave a 5-star review so others can find the podcast. But here's the big goals, folks. The big goal is we know we started this podcast in the offseason. We know it's going to be a slow grind because people are tapped out. People, the diehards like you listening right now are tapped in, full key. But as we get closer to the season, that's where we're going to make our hard push to get this in every Gopher fan's ear, and we're going to need your help doing it. So be sure to hit subscribe and help share the pod as we go. Now, Tristyn, I bought you some time. How are you wrapping this thing up?
Yo, honestly, because I'm seeing conflicting reports about Bruce Smith, the Heisman winner. Did he also play defensive end?
I have no clue. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's a different Bruce Smith. But I think Google is just like, yo, I'm going to throw you a curveball and keep you on your toes. So
yeah, that's why I'm okay. Give me. I'm gonna go with my boy Danny Strigow. Put him on the list.
Danny Strigow.
Put him on the list.
You thought people were going to tear me for Coy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but he's mine. At my heart, number 1 in my heart.
That's true. He has been your dude for years now, and you have made that known.
He's going to tear it up in the NFL.
On 2 different podcast networks.
He's a dog. He's a dog. You see him on the field, he's violent. I love that.
All right, so I got my 2 free spaces. For the linebacker, defensive line person, I am going to go... I'm going to go with Lee Campbell. Lee Campbell led the team in tackles in back-to-back years. He had 81 year and 119 tackles in the other. So I think that's a fairly great pick. Very productive, got it done, multi-year starter. And then for the defensive back, to wrap this entire thing up, I am going to go with a... Let me look up one thing real quick just to make sure everything looked good in his time. But Tristyn, let the folks know where they can find you on socials, and also let them know what you got going. What you got going this week? What's your hottest take for the weekend as I look up these last quick
Ooh,
stats?
hottest take for the weekend. This is one of the last weekends that the people can just sit on their couch and watch basketball. So I need everyone to prepare for that, especially the fellas out there, because after this weekend and after next weekend, I guess, there is going to be a lot of spring house chores that you're going to have to do. And you won't have any excuses unless you're a baseball guy. And even if you are, you're not watching baseball this early. It just doesn't matter yet. You don't have any excuses. So the weather's getting nice and you're about to have a list full of stuff. I am not super active on social medias. I'm on social media. I will see it if you at me on something, but my replying is not great. I'm a big lurker, but I am on Twitter, Spann-Ford22. I'm on Instagram, Spann-Ford88. 88 has nothing to do with Brev. I was 88 before him, actually. So he stole it from me.
He's the real 88.
I
All
was
right,
88
you've bought
first.
me enough. You've
Yeah.
bought me enough time here. I had a lot of debating. I wanted to go with a name I knew just to play it safe because we've learned the hard way. You can't go on the fly
Don't
in some of these
don't
things.
do it.
So
Don't just read the name and say it.
I was debating on a lot of Gophers that have gotten to the league. Ben St. Juice just didn't play here long enough for me to be able to
Yeah.
put him on this list. Terrell Smith, absolute dog. Definitely
Tea
thought
time.
about it, but
Oh, I should have put tea time on there.
he had some big injuries that I think cost him some games, and so he didn't have as many stats as maybe I would have loved to see for him. I thought about Eric Murray, who has just been a staple in the NFL, but
Yep.
his production here was solid, not crazy jump off the page. He had 2 interceptions and like 190 tackles. But you know who did put up even more stats than that? And I know I watched and I am ready to just put him on my list and be happy with it. Jordan Howden, lock me in. 240 tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 tackles for loss, 20 pass breakups. Look, Jordan Howden was the staple. He was the tandem with Tyler Nubin. And Tyler Nubin was one of my favorite players to watch. And you can't think about Tyler Nubin without Jordan Howden. Those two, both in the league, both rocking 31, both Gopher greats. I'm putting Jordan Howden on the list to wrap it up.
Love that. Love that. I feel like my draft started out so strong and then it fell off so fast, which I warned everyone. I warned everyone. These are fun though. People should send us topics about anything and we'll just do some random topics. I just want anything.
I'm here for it.
I want to do
heard it here
drafts.
first.
Let's do drafts this summer.
We're going to
I
do
love
drafts this summer. We're going to make it happen. All right, so we're going to wrap this one up. Here's the final team. So we had my team, which had Rashid Hagman, Carl Eller, Bronco Nagruski, Bud Grant, Willie Middlebrooks, Justin Wally, Blake Cashman, Damian Wilson, Mariano Sarimarin, Antoine Winfield Jr., Coy Parrish, Lee Campbell, and Jordan Howden. And then you have Tristyn's team with Bobby Bell, Boye Mafe, Winston De La Tibadier, Willie Van, I missed his last name and I'm going to have to Google it before I type it in on the social medias, Coney Durr, Jalen Myrick, Devondre Campbell, Carter Coughlin, Cody Lindenberg, Tyrone Carter, Tyler Nubin, Danny Strigow, and Jeff Wright. That's going to wrap us up here at the Gopher Broke podcast. Please let us know your topics you want to talk about. Let us know draft ideas because clearly we're unhinged when it comes to these drafts. And we're going to keep you updated with the Gophers spring practice updates. Next week, there is no open practices to media or anyone else, so we won't have too many updates besides what we hear through the grapevine. But after that, we'll have back-to-back weeks with at least one practice on hand, and we'll give you the updates on that and how things are shaking out. Any final words for the people, my brother?
No, I can just feel it in the air though. Football season is right. It's going to be here before we know it. We're going to be on Twitter and we're going to see the PJ Fleck hit piece, the annual PJ Fleck hit piece, and then we'll know football is upon us. I love it.
Dog, I've never heard truer words. The annual PJ hit piece will be out soon. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that me and Coney Durr will be on the socials tearing it apart. But that's going to do it for us here at the Gopher Broke podcast. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time.